What's going on, everybody? I am back out here in Northeast Ohio at the Herps Alive Foundation, and today we're going to learn about what this amazing foundation does to take care of reptiles in need. Stick around. My name is Nick Pulaski. Growing up, I have always had a passion for wildlife, and with that passion, along with my passion of filmmaking, I get taken on some amazing adventures creating wildlife content, getting up close with a variety of incredible animals. So come follow along as I pursue my goals of educating, inspiring, exploring, and conserving wildlife, all while having fun, seeing the beauty in our natural world. So today I am back here in Northeast Ohio with Keith of Herps Alive. Keith, thanks so much for doing this with me.
Great seeing you again, Nick.
Yeah, great seeing you. This is awesome. Who do we have right here?
So this is Ophelia, bearded dragon, which I'm sure most of your viewers would know. She's one of our ambassador animals.
Okay.
Not available for adoption, but she's literally traveled all over the country in the 3 years we've had her. I think she's been to something like 21 states.
Really? So she started as a rescue?
Yes.
Basically.
She came in because she had such a great attitude and because the owner basically said, I really don't want her to be adopted. If you have to, fine. And I said, well, let's see how she does. And she thrives on handling. Kids love her.
Yeah.
And she's just such a sweetheart.
Yeah, may I? She's adorable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I love bearded dragons. They're just so cute. And she's got such a cute little beard. Yeah. And just a great demeanor about her, too.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, especially for an ambassador animal, for
exactly.
sure. And just really, that's what your mission goal is, right? Is just to really bring out reptile lovers and really get a better understanding with people.
Yeah, it's a twofold. Obviously, we want to adopt animals out. We want to get animals in the homes. We're taking in, and typically you're 700 animals. And so we, trying to find homes. We usually find homes for 550, 600 in a typical year. This year's been a little bit unusual. Smaller number of animals with more problems, more what we call veterinary surrenders, and I think the economy has something to do with that. But the educational piece of what we do is also very, very important.
Okay.
And outreach to the community, making people aware that, number one, we're here as a resource. I tell everybody, if you're thinking of getting a reptile as a pet, we'd love to have you adopt from us, but even if you go to the pet store up the street or the local expo, ask us for information. We don't have an axe to grind. We're going to give you what we believe is the best information.
Right.
And the other thing is that changes, as you well know.
Absolutely. When
I started keeping bearded dragons, we were keeping them in 30-gallon aquariums.
Exactly.
It was like 40 breeders. Now it's like 4x2s or 70 to 40 by 18.
Yeah.
So we find they do better with more space.
Yep.
We gave them red heat lamps at night. Well, that affects their eyesight, so it affects their sleep cycle. Kept them very warm at night. Now we actually find that they're actually good dropping down to room temperature at night because the Australian desert gets cold.
Right.
So all those things, that's all stuff that we've learned in the last 10, 15 years.
Oh yeah, the industry's just evolved and grown, and all the knowledge and stuff like that to benefit these animals has just been tremendous and really positive for sure. So kind of going back to, like, I know last time I was here we were just on the 5-year anniversary of Herps Alive. Now we're gearing up to the 10-year anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Huge.
10 years in the building,
That's awesome.
coming up in December.
Really cool.
And the really cool thing is 2 years ago next month was when we bought the building.
Right. That's awesome.
So that's also pretty cool.
Congrats.
When we first started doing this, at that time, there were no reptile rescues who were working under what we call a humane society model with public hours, advertised hours. They might open up for an open house one weekend a month. They would do events at the local shop, adoption events and so on. We were able to prove that it is a workable formula, and we still do it all with volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can come through. You're totally fine. Yeah, absolutely.
So we are a working rescue, so we've got people feeding animals and watering animals and everything else.
Which is awesome, So how many volunteers normally do you have?
Over the course of a week, we'll have about 25 to 30 who are doing actual animal care.
Okay.
And then we have, of course, our trustees, with a board of a half dozen trustees.
Because you are a certified 501c3.
Yeah, we're 501c3, so we operate as a nonprofit, so I have to work things through the trustees. We also have a bookkeeper, we have an accountant, we have a lawyer. We have some people who do nothing but transport.
Okay.
So overall, we've got about 50 active volunteers right now, plus our medical staff. Don't want to ignore you, Kristen. We have several vets and several vet techs who volunteer here too. So.
Okay. So basically, the vet techs, like every single animal that comes through these doors gets an examination.
Every animal that comes through gets checked twice by a vet, either by one of our vets twice or both of our vets once each. Okay. And they're getting regular care from our vet techs. We're down one vet tech right now, so we don't have vet tech care every single day.
Sure.
But we have somebody here 4 of the 5 days that we're open.
That's incredible. Yeah, really cool. So, kind of going back to, like you said, like you have transport warriors, we can call them, or whatever. That's like basically anyone comes in throughout the Midwest, too?
Oh, yeah. We have done rescues from Wisconsin, Illinois, Kentucky, West Virginia, of course, all the surrounding states, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, PA, New York. We did a group of leopard geckos in Buffalo, New York several years ago. Many, many years ago, we did a red-eared slider from Houston, Texas.
Wow.
So, yeah, and again, it's good because we're seeing more and more resources out there, quality rescues who are doing that kind of work.
For sure.
And that's important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it also takes a little bit of the pressure off of us.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean,
So,
that's a huge workload. I mean, I just came 3 hours down here,
Right.
and I mean, I could only imagine if you had to do that to go pick up, say,
Yeah.
like one of these guys, why
Exactly.
do that when you could have any of these people that can come to your aid?
Exactly.
So,
And like I said, we really appreciate that help. We couldn't do what we do without it.
for sure, you know, and thank you to all of you guys that do that and support, you know, that's huge. What do you mainly get in? Like, is it normally surrenders, or like, what's on average what you kind of get?
It's hard to say because we obviously, the most transactions we do are voluntary surrenders. People moving, students leaving for college, or mom and dad don't want to take care of the animal, whatever. But that's usually 1, maybe 2 animals. What we often get is when we're doing a humane seizure, when we're working with a local humane organization, we may do 40 or 50 or even 100 animals at a time. Total quantity, we probably do more of that. But
Okay.
if you talk about the actual number of transactions, number of people, it's individuals, yeah.
Gotcha.
And we get property managers, we get other legal things. We had about a month and a half ago, there was a 5-foot Nile monitor wandering around one of the suburbs.
Oh, I did see about that. Yeah, 'cause
I
that
got-
made local news.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
made
like
local news.
national news.
They
too.
actually called me. I was in Columbus in the meeting.
Yeah.
I said, guys, I can't help you. I'm 2.5 hours away, but here's a couple ways you can go about catching them. And if you do catch them, we'll take them. And they were able to catch them. They brought him in. It was very clear that this was a released pet. He had great attitude. You know, I mean, Niles can do, a big Nile like that can do some damage.
For sure.
He squirmed a little bit, but he went right into the cage.
Yeah.
Tail whipped everybody when they walked by for the first day, and then got to the point where we were scratching his head.
Super placid
Yeah,
and
and
everything like
he
that.
ended up, he's been adopted. I went to actually a guy who does a lot of monitor breeding.
Good.
Got a big facility, he's in a huge enclosure.
That's huge.
So, you know, even there we were able to find a really, really good situation for him.
Right.
And, but yeah, so you just, one thing about what we do is no 2 days are alike, and you never know what to expect.
Absolutely. Do you work with like public authorities and stuff like
Yes,
that? It's
yeah.
just to kind of get them up to par and training them. I remember you were talking about like snake training with.
Yeah,
someone
we've
before.
had about every 2 years, there's a local group of animal control officers,
Yeah.
and they meet every month for lunch, and then they do some kind of a training. So about every 2 years, they'll rotate through to us, and we'll do a training with them on how to handle big snake or big lizard or whatever else. And we actually had a situation where one of those occurred. Large boa constrictor, lady sees it crawling across her front lawn, and she calls 911, not knowing what else to do.
Sure.
Police called the local animal control officer who had done some training with us, had no experience to speak of with snakes, but knew what to do. Got basically an empty trash can, got it into the trash can, called us. I was out there an hour later, picked the snake up, got it cleaned up, we put it through quarantine. Actually ended up sending that snake to an animal educator down in the Canton area, and that animal
Good.
is still in their program.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
having that be able to happen, we had a situation a few years back. I got a call from the South Euclid Police. That's the city we're in here, is South
Yeah.
Euclid. They say, hey, we've got a bearded dragon in a driveway. Can you send somebody to come get him? And I was 2 blocks away, so I sent one of my volunteers. And it was funny, they had the 2 cars blocked, like the bearded dragon was going to try to get
Yeah,
away.
right, exactly.
You know, like it was a car or something. You know, the standard police technique.
Yeah.
And that's kind of weird, the whole situation. And I got an email the next day from one of the city councilmen. Oh, I posted. So this is the big bouncer lizard that that the police found. It's like I think they had half of our police force out there helping catch this bearded dragon.
Yeah.
Well, this councilman emails me, says I was in City Hall when the call came through, and somebody said there's an alligator in my front yard. So when the police heard alligator, that's when they took off.
Right.
And the alligator ended up being a bearded dragon.
Yeah, you know, and you hear that story so
Oh,
often,
yeah,
where
exactly.
people like to us like we know and we can laugh over it, but like to other people like they don't know.
I caught this snake, and I'm sure it's poisonous.
Exactly, yeah.
Northern water
They don't know a
snake.
garter from a mama.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
Northern water snake yesterday.
exactly.
It's like, is this a cottonmouth?
Yeah.
It's like, not in Northeast Ohio. It's not.
Exactly, yeah. It's,
So yeah,
it's one of those things that I mean, it's good that you're out there to educate, especially
Right.
the authorities that are going to be probably first on site to these calls
Yeah.
and stuff like that, rather than you. It's one of those things that it's very vital for everyone to like again be all on the same page because we all
yeah.
cross paths,
Right.
you know. So we
Exactly.
all have to be on that. So that's really good. For
Bearded
sure.
dra- We had just a few years back. Lady brings in 31 baby bearded dragons.
Wow.
So she was basically running a bearded dragon mill, like a puppy mill.
Okay.
And she would breed these things indiscriminately and sell as many as she could. And because she didn't have enough enclosures, they started tail nipping and toe nipping. She would bring them to us.
Okay.
So it was I was doing an off-premises event in one of the local pet stores, and I came back, and I told my manager, I said, let me run to the restroom and grab a soda, and then you can take off. And she goes, no, I can't. What do you mean? She go upstairs. And upstairs, they're setting up 31 separate 10-gallon tanks for these baby beardies. They're about 3 months old. We normally go home at 6 o'clock on the weekends. We were here until 8 that night.
Yeah.
I ordered in pizza for everybody. A couple of volunteers stayed late.
That's awesome.
But we got 31 tanks set up with UVB and heat and everything they needed. And
that's a job.
30
in
of the
itself.
31 survived and ended up getting adopted out.
That's awesome.
So again, but like I say, it's not every day you have 31 bearded dragons walk through the door.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that can happen.
And I mean, it's the same like you said, like the release pet kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure you get calls throughout the years of different things of that nature.
It's really annoying because in our case particularly, and I'm sure this is true with other rescues, if you call the Cleveland Zoo, the Akron Zoo, the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, the Cleveland Botanical Garden, if you call any of our local metro parks, either Cuyahoga County, the county we're in, or in any of the surrounding counties, they'll give you a reference to us. They'll give you our phone number. If you call any of the pet stores in the area, they'll refer you. If you call any of the exotic vets, they'll refer you. And there's this thing called the internet. Have you heard of it?
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
It's like search Ohio Reptile Rescue.
Yeah.
Now, we have had a couple of new rescues open in Ohio in the last few years, but typically there's two of us. There's Arrowhead down in the southwest, and they are really more focused on doing a lot of wildlife rehab, box turtles.
Sure.
They do a ton of work with turtle versus car stuff.
Okay.
And then we're up in the northeast corner. Since then, we have had a rescue open in the northwest corner and the southeast corner. So we now have the quadrants more or less covered. The two new ones are still relatively small.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you have an animal, it's not that hard to find us.
And that's what I mean. Like, there's nothing wrong that I think people feel like this sense of shame. Like, if they realize that they bit off more than they can chew, or if like a living situation changes or something like that, it's better that the animal gets the care that it needs rather than falling into a neglect case or suffering or being sent.
One of my pet peeves, and I'm probably going to annoy some of your viewers.
Sure.
So guys, I'm going to apologize up front.
That's fine.
When you see the memes, you wouldn't abandon your child. Why would you abandon your pet? It's like, well, sometimes it's a question of feeding your child or feeding your pet. And I'm sorry, in that case, the child should come first.
Absolutely.
I still remember one of the very first ball python rescues I did 30 years ago. And this woman was in tears. And she was losing her home. She had a blue and gold macaw. She had a number of other animals. And just a ball python, very well cared for. She said, I said, you know what, you're better off giving the animal up now, as you said before, while you can still feed it, while it's still in good shape, while I still have a chance to find a home for it, as opposed to 6 months from now when the thing's a skinny bag of bones.
Right, and it's emaciated.
Emaciated, needs vet care,
Yep.
exactly. And so for me, we actually have a line on our surrender form, reason for surrender. We don't ask. If they volunteer it, we write it down.
Yeah.
But we're at a point, we're not here to embarrass anybody. We're not here to make anybody feel bad. We would much rather have them do the right thing by the animal.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
And that's really what it comes down to, is just really getting over that hurdle of like, yes, I don't think what you said is something that really people could go up in arms about, because at the end of the day, it's more so like, yes, people love these animals, just like they are their own personal children and stuff like that. And I mean, if situations change or if something does happen, you got to do what you got to do. And I mean, you guys are that valuable, positive resource to make sure that these animals seek a better future rather than going into something that could be wrong. But I mean, in general, releasing something in the wild is never the option.
Never the option.
So.
Yeah, and we're seeing, we have red-eared sliders are now invasive, throughout the country pretty much.
Yeah. Occasionally we hear about gators.
There was a gator
like
up in Lake Erie a few months back up in Erie. They never caught the animal. We probably would have ended up with them and then sent them down to the state. State laws are a little bit weird here in Ohio as far as that goes. So, but yeah. So it's one of those things where we kind of have to deal with it as it comes. And like I said, we were very, very careful. We don't judge people.
Yeah.
Situations are situations. And sometimes people, they make poor decisions, but sometimes, as you said, their situations change, and that becomes an important factor.
Absolutely. What is the most commonly brought in intake?
Red-eared sliders, although we're no longer taking in red-eared sliders. We're just way over capacity.
For sure.
Bearded dragons, leopard geckos, ball pythons would be the big three right now. Yeah.
So like with the top, like being red-eared sliders and turtles, let's just say, how many turtles do you think you have here right now?
Right now we have, in spring, in May, we had a frat from the University from Case Western Reserve come up to do a community service project. One of the things we had them do was to double check our inventory of red ears. We had 183 red ears here. We had 41 or 42 yellow bellies.
Really?
So out of 325 animals, 225 aquatic turtles.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count, the few African side necks, or I've got a Malaysian box right now, a couple of Mississippi maps, a couple of snappers. So yeah, the aquatic turtle thing. And most of them, that was a perfect example. A gentleman just brought in a painted turtle that he rescued from his yard. Well, you could have just moved it off to the side.
Yeah.
People would not think of grabbing a squirrel from their lawn and bringing it in as a pet. They do it with turtles all the time.
For sure.
So yeah, so that becomes, Animal lives to be 30 or 40 years. You know, it's twice the length of a dog.
Yeah.
So it's a lot bigger commitment than people realize. I think they're doing
sure.
the right thing. Yeah.
And I think also too, like going back to like people don't dive into the amount of research, and it's more so out of impulse. And I think this is something not necessarily even shaming someone as a buyer, but I think also as people that are like breeding, like myself included, and other people that breed and sell and stuff like that, we have to be better as well too in terms of how we vet these people, just to make sure they know that what they're doing, what they're getting into, if they have the proper setups at home and stuff like that. It goes both ways, guys. You know, it's a big perspective kind of thing, because we're talking about a turtle that some people can pick up for like $10-$30, and then they have the turtle. The turtle's the least expensive part.
Filter, heater, UVB, basking lamp, basking platform, aquarium itself, and it goes on and on. You know, and your point about educating people, we support the local expos, okay? And the quality, with all due respect, I think the quality of vendor at these expos has improved greatly over the years.
Absolutely, I've seen that too.
Many, many years ago, when I was very young, I worked at a pet store. And if the family came in, a child wanted a leopard gecko for a pet. They came in, they got all the information they needed. Now I see 10-year-old kids walking around with 8 deli cups stacked this high. Yeah. And you're not going to work your way through college breeding leopard geckos. Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
No, so. You know, I think it's one of those things where a lot of people thought of it as a get-rich-quick kind of scheme and stuff like that, where, one, that shouldn't be your first intention at all with these, you know. I mean, there's got to be an appreciation and love with these things that goes far beyond that. And I'm not saying there isn't, but I mean, before you even think about it becoming a business, you know, before I even thought of things becoming a business, it had to be from the ground up of me raising and getting to know and learn these animals' behaviors, how to care for these animals properly, and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And not to mention even, like, not how much you spend on these animals, but it's also about your time and commitment to these animals. Like you said, these animals live a lot longer than a dog or a cat, and even the care and maintenance of these animals that can take and stuff like that. Like you said, a turtle and the filtration and stuff like that takes a lot.
It's not easy.
And once people get into it, I mean, you really get into it. You learn quick with a turtle, especially.
No doubt, no doubt.
So, I mean, the neglect is not something you can just go without.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing about get rich, I mean, I think we've especially seen this with ball pythons. You know, when we first opened, we got, once in a while, we might get a pastel or a lesser or something like that. You know, now we're getting multiple multi-gene morphs, so people are surrendering to us because the secondary market isn't what it once was. Animal maybe they paid $400 for it and they can't get $200 for it now. Right. Because you have to remember, when you buy that really cool multi-gene morph, as a baby, well, it's going to be 3 to 4 years till you can breed it. Yep. And by then, everybody else is going to be breeding that same multi-gene combination, and there's not going to be the demand. There's I mean, there are a few, of course, that there are, but you know, to a great extent, you're not going to see that. So then the pressure is, well, I better come up with a different multi-gene morph, and people start breeding who knows what. I mean, whether something's going to prove out or not. Again, we don't need to do a ball python.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, and it can go about anything.
And that's not to say I don't begrudge anybody making money breeding animals. If you can do that, that's great. Yeah. But if you're looking at it as a get-rich-quick scheme, as you put it, it ain't happening.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's all about the perspective of that. Now, in terms of the adoption process, how does that necessarily go here?
So our adoption process is a 2-step process, although it can happen all at the same time. Okay. There is a written application, which gets reviewed, and with many animals we require proof of caging. Yeah. If you're buying a leopard, if you're adopting a leopard gecko, I don't need proof of caging. You tell me you're going to keep them in a 20-gallon long. Okay. I'd like to see them in something bigger, but a 20 long is our minimum size. Sure. If you're getting a monitor or an iguana, you're going to bring me a picture of your cage.
Right, exactly.
Or it's not going home with you. We had a lady walk out last night because my manager refused to adopt an iguana to her. Good. And I said, you know, there was a picture of the cage, but it was in the background of the room. And it's a woman who I actually talked to on the phone the day before. I could tell from the description. I said, we're going to need proof of caging if you want to adopt an iguana. Then we have an in-person kind of interview. It can happen in two ways. Sometimes somebody will want an animal. I'm really looking for a corn snake, let's just say, and we don't have any available. So they fill out the application, and then that puts them in line once their application is approved. Then when we get something in, we call them in, we have them interact with the animal, make sure they're comfortable working with the animal, and then we also ask them a series of basic husbandry questions to make sure that they have a general understanding of what's involved. We will be a little bit more lenient on somebody with a corn snake than we will be on a reticulated python. Right. We'll be a little bit more lenient on a leopard gecko than we would be on a 5-foot Nile monitor or on a Leachianus gecko or something of that nature. For sure. So we can kind of guide them to the proper answers. And then there's other answers that are not 100% right. Yeah. How do you feed your snake? Do you feed it in a separate enclosure or do you feed it in its own enclosure? Right. Arguments to be made both ways. And there's no one definite right, definite wrong. Exactly. And you can make arguments both ways, regardless of that. But that's the kind of thing that you can agree to disagree on. You can have that conversation. Under tank heating versus over tank heating. there's things to be said both ways depending on how you're doing it.
Yeah.
So again, we just try to make sure that they have a basic idea. One of the unfortunate things is a lot of times they say, well, we bought the leopard gecko kit at the pet store, or we bought the bearded dragon kit, and they have the compact fluorescent UVB. Well, that's wonderful for a small tank, but in a big tank, you're not getting enough UVB coverage.
Yep.
They have the red nightlight, same thing. So we try to get them all rigged with the proper equipment to make sure that they're going to be successful with that animal. More importantly, so they have all the information so that a year from now, they're not going to say, oh, this isn't working out because it's been an aggravating experience. So like I say, so it's a two-step. Sometimes they'll fill out the app first. Sometimes they'll see an animal posted and say, oh, I want that one. Then they'll fill in the app, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, it's an important process, just also in the sense of that, but also I'm sure to prevent flipping as well.
Well,
too.
and we run into that, quite frankly. That's a problem that every rescue I talk to has.
Sure.
How do you set your adoption fees?
Yeah.
So our bearded dragon adoption fee is typically $75. The juvenile might be $40 to $50. If we got something fancy, like we just had a really nice citrus that came in, we just had a really high red that came in, that one was $90. Okay. But again, it's still not ridiculous numbers. It's still less than you're generally going to pay in a pet store.
Yeah.
Our leopard gecko fees range from $25 to $45 typically.
Yeah.
And we try to set them at a point that's lower than the market, but not so low that the animal's going to get flipped. And unfortunately, one thing that I've learned, having adopted out however many animals has been here, 4,000 some animals that we've adopted out since we've been here. If you're a con man, I'm pretty astute and pretty clever guy, but if you're a con man, you're going to be able to con me. You're going to be able to get that animal. It's only happened twice that I know of. And in one case, the person tried to adopt again from us, and we said, sorry, not interested. The other case, had I been paying closer attention, it wouldn't have happened. So they got me. Yeah, it happens.
And it's one of those things where, unfortunately, like you said, they're going to get their way some way or another, some ways, and that's their way of going down.
There's dishonest people in every line of business.
Yep, exactly.
And I'm not saying that it's common in the reptile business.
Sure.
It's just there's
every field has.
Yeah, right. There's going to be those people. There's
Yep.
There's dishonest doctors. There's dishonest lawyers.
Yep.
The vast majority aren't. But like I say, but that one particular situation just stuck out to me because I couldn't catch it.
Yeah.
Usually somebody will come with a name and say, wait, I recognize your name, man. I saw you advertise that python at Craigslist. Or now Morph Market. And again, not to take anything away from Morph Market. Darian's done a great job. But again, Morph Market has made it that much easier to flip these animals if somebody chooses to do it.
For sure.
And again, I want to be really, really clear.
No,
I support Morph Market.
Absolutely.
He supports us. We get free bugs from him
Yep.
all the time.
For sure.
And I have nothing but great things to say about him. But it does provide an outlet for somebody.
Any new social media platform.
And again, just a wealth of stories. I could go on for another 3 hours.
Oh, for sure. There's
just
nightmares with it all. Having all these resources available is a vital thing that kind of all works in unison. I think if we're all divided, nothing gets done. And, we all fall at the end of the day then.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. So
we all cross
all
paths.
work together. Different, coming at things from different directions perhaps, but we all want the same goal, which is what's best for the animals.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I see that even from being here 5 years ago, like all the improvements, like you said, you finally bought the building and stuff. So what's in the future right now?
Well, we want to do an expansion. So one of the things we did not know when we leased this building is that our second floor is not to code. It's what they call a non-conforming use. There's only one entrance. Okay. In a commercial building, you have to have two entrances. So that God forbid, like there's a fire blocking the entrance, people can get out. Well, we looked at just putting in a fire escape. The city wouldn't allow that. So after we bought the building, we started raising some money again, and we had the money raised to put in this expansion. It's basically a stairwell, platform across, a new door on the second floor, which would basically double our effective display space, and was give some opportunity to do some other things with classroom type area and so on and so forth. Commissioned the architectural drawings and everything. We got those all done. Took quite a while to get them done for a number of reasons, and the original job we were told would be between $30,000 and $35,000. And we had about that much raised for the job, so we were all excited we get the drawings, and my contractor comes back with the estimate. He says it's going to be between $44,000 and $47,000. So we're $12,000 to $15,000 short. So now we're fundraising again. We're going out there, and I've got about 6 grant applications pending over the next 15 days. We just started a fundraiser a couple of days ago, just an online, through Facebook.
It's called Upscale?
Upscale was the original one, so this is Upscale Phase 2.
Gotcha.
We haven't changed the logo yet. It still says to fund the Herps Alive building. We'll get the logo changed eventually. But then we'll be doing, we're doing some other fundraising type things. We're doing a Sensi fundraiser. We'll be doing a Pampered Chef fundraiser. Those are little things. They'll make a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, but that all adds up. I had dinner with my mom last night, and we were talking about this building expansion. She says, well, I guess the $100 a year I'm donating doesn't make a lot of difference. I said, no, it does. We started this fundraiser on Tuesday. It's now Thursday, we've raised slightly over $1,000. Not a single donation more than $50 though. So it's a lot of people donating a little. Yeah, it would be great if one person could write that $1,000 check for that $10,000 check. But if I can get 1,000 of people writing $10 checks, it's the same net result.
For sure.
And it gives everybody a chance to participate. So I'm still hopeful that we'll raise the money by the end of the year. We'll start construction in the spring, and by summer, the second floor will be up and running. It'll allow us to bring in some more animals. It'll allow us to expand our quarantine space, which is very, very small. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons we've cut back on the number of intakes. Our vet staff just isn't able to keep up.
So I just wanted to show you guys real quick here. They are currently working in here right now. We're still during business hours, and we have volunteers and vets here right now, so they're scrambling and working around here. But this is the quarantine room for them right here. So we can see all these bearded dragons over here and all these other reptiles and stuff like that. So with this expansion, they're trying to grow this. They're trying to make sure that they have an even bigger quarantine room so they can take on all the intakes that they do get in here. It's all just different functions that just have to happen to make sure that these animals are properly taken care of.
And that's basically, you said it's not walk-ins right now or anything like that.
You have to have an appointment. Yeah. We've had a couple situations where we'll take a walk-in, but especially law enforcement, humane, another story. Yeah, if you've got something, you got to make an appointment. Now, sometimes we can do a same-day appointment. We were just scheduling a couple of appointments for this weekend. So it's not like you're going to have to wait weeks and weeks unless you've got a slider. Then you may have to wait months and months. You know, we opened up this year. We opened up on October 1st. We had 3 regular slider openings. It's now October 3rd. Those are longer. So yeah, we are limiting a little bit more. For a while, we had to close the bearded dragons. I had 8 bearded dragons in quarantine. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with them, just timing. We
had
to
just
get
quarantine.
Them,
that's how it is.
Had to get them all cleared.
You know,
had to get them wormed. Had to get the vets examining them. 4 of them have gone out onto the floor now. 3 of them have been adopted. 1's still available. Now we have room. We had 1 come in the other day. We had another one come in today. So we still have room for 1 or 2. Yeah. But we have to watch how we're doing that a little bit more closely than we used to, just because the numbers have gotten so much bigger in general. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to it, like I'm seeing this little thing of donations right over here, which is awesome, and I love seeing that full. But it's every little bit helps, like you said. You know, I mean, that's going towards food, that's going towards care, but there's other ways too, probably, that you can.
We have, you know, one of the things we did. So one of the local grocery stores that we bought most of our greens from went from 99 cents a pound on greens to $2.29 a pound on greens. Now I have another store that donates some greens, but not enough to feed everybody. So more than doubled our cost. And we kind of put a call out to everybody, say, hey guys, if you've got a garden, save those extra zucchini for us. Save, you know, whatever it is that you have. And so we actually had some folks, it was grow a row. Grow 1 row of greens or grow 1 row of zucchini or whatever for us. Yeah. And we're going to push that even more next year. We'll actually provide seeds to you next year. Wow. Yeah. So then you can donate. But we have, I'll come in today, I came in and there was a bag of greens, a couple bags of lettuce, romaine heads, that somebody had left. We weren't open yet, they had left them for us. So we get that all the time. We do get a lot of donations of that nature. Good. Somebody comes in with a bottle of bleach and 2 rolls of paper towel. That's anything is everything. That's $5 or $6 that we don't have to spend. Right. And so all of those things add up. $5 here, $10 there, $6 here. And suddenly you've got 25, 30, then you have 50, then it's 100. Now, like I say, in 2 days, $1,000. I mean, the support from the community, both from the local community and from the reptile community, for what we have done has been remarkable. Beyond my wildest dreams. Yeah. When I first started this rescue, and as we've talked about before, it's an offshoot of my educational program. I had always done rescue on my own.
Because you've been doing this since you were like, what, young, 18,
yeah,
right?
I did my first show when I was 8, my first paid program when I was 18.
I remember that.
I'm considerably older than that now.
Yeah.
And I explained what I was doing. I said to my son, this is what we're going to be doing. And he said, Dad, what if it doesn't work out? I said, well, I guess I'll have to sell the house and live upstairs. Right. I had no intention of that really doing, but when we opened, we had no idea what kind of support we were going to get. Yeah. And like I say, the community's been great, the city's been great working with us, and then the reptile community. Like I said, we've gotten support from Zilla, we've gotten support from Dubia, we get support from Symptom Blackfly. Pangea has sent us merchandise and supplies. That's awesome. Petco and PetSmart are great. Pet Supplies Plus, the regional chain, have all been great. You know, awesome. And that helps too.
And I hope the list continues to grow.
Oh yeah, and that's awesome, why we keep we keep knocking on doors. Yeah. Again, everybody's slowing down a little bit. Not everybody's in a position to help, but at least they know we're out there. Right. And so so that's what we're trying to do.
A few bucks here is everything, or whatever the case may be. I mean, even reptile supplies and stuff like that too. Yeah. In terms of where can people find you if they want to donate, or
so this is the other big thing since you were last year. We actually have a domain-based website.
Really?
Just herpsalive.org.
Okay.
So we had the other free sites. Now we actually have a real website.
Really?
It's got a donate button on it. It's got all of our links to Venmo, to Cash App, to PayPal.
Okay. I'll definitely leave links down below.
And by the way, you can mail us a check. You can come in here and bring cash. cash, we accept that as well. So we've made it a lot easier. We're starting to develop our first set of continuing sponsors, where people are, you can hit a button on that PayPal button where make this a monthly donation.
Yeah.
And so we've got our first couple of those, and of course, hopefully we'll build on that a little bit more too, because that gives you a bottom level that you know you're going to have coming in. So that, that'll be helpful. It's like I say, we're just going to keep knocking on doors and pounding away at it, and we're going to get that thing built as soon as we can. And hopefully we'll be able to provide more services, down the road. We have future plans beyond that, but that's going to be hit the lotto type thing, or
like dreams that you just want to come to
or have
fruition.
Betty White's estate send us a check.
Exactly.
And so so we'll keep working on it, and we'll get there eventually.
So go really quick, going back to outreach. Like, what do you do in terms of like children? Like, do you like with all the shows and stuff like that?
We do everything from elementary schools to colleges.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'm going to be at Ohio University for a program.
Cool.
Then I'm going to a campground to do a program.
Really cool.
And this will be my 5th year at that particular campground. The first year was during COVID. Really we were outdoors with masks, limited the number of people, and each year, we get more and more people in there. And then Sunday, I'm actually doing, so one of my hobbies is harness racing.
Oh, cool.
Horses.
Yeah.
And so I've worked in the business in various forms in the past, so I developed a program called the Handicapping Herpetologist. Okay. And so we take a reptile display to a racetrack.
Cool.
So people can interact, and then they can have me on the handicapping show picking horses. So I'll be at Dayton, Hollywood Gaming at Dayton Raceway on Sunday, doing my program there as part of the Montgomery County Fair races. So 3 very different venues, still getting a chance to reach out. College students, then families, and then who knows who will show up.
Yeah,
So,
that's really cool. And just kudos to you for what you've done. Like you said, I mean, you didn't know if it was going to work out at the beginning. 5 years go by, we were here, and just seeing how it was, and now 10 years going on now, and just seeing like the transformations that are to come and everything like that, and just working through those things. I mean, that's really awesome and commendable.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome. And I love seeing all your work, and I love seeing all the success stories. I mean, if you don't follow them already, definitely go follow them on Facebook, because that's where you're going to pick up most of the information that's up to date.
That's our
the most
primary.
current stuff.
We ran into some problems with some of the other social, not problems. I mean, we do have a TikTok.
Yeah.
And my younger volunteers.
Yeah.
Take care of that.
Yeah, I struggle on that too.
And you're a video guy.
Yeah, exactly. You can only do so much.
But our Instagram doesn't get updated very much. We were running into problems with Instagram where we started getting worldwide inquiries, and we don't ship.
Sure.
So we found that doing the Facebook thing is the best way for us to go.
Yeah.
And so that's what we stick with.
So it kind of goes Midwest for the most part, but you'll kind of take inquiries from wherever, as long as
absolutely. And again, we have these transport warriors.
Yep.
We have actually one guy is actually a semi-driver.
Okay.
And he's brought us animals from Florida. He's brought us animals from New York. His wife is adopted from us. His family's adopted from us.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't have that many. We had one Savannah monitor down south of Lexington, Kentucky, and I had a good friend down there who was very active in dog rescue. And so I messaged her. I said, Ann, by any chance, do you guys have any dog transports coming up Cleveland way?
Yeah.
And she says, why? Explain to her what's going on. She says, let me do some checking for you. So she gets back to me. She says, how close are you to Delaware, Ohio? I said, I'm 2 hours from Delaware. If you can get the animal to Delaware, I'll drive down and pick him up. She said, okay, I'll let them know. She said, before they go to Delaware, they're going to be in a place called Macedonia. Well, Macedonia is actually
right
further north. It's
Yeah.
half an hour from here.
Yeah.
So I met this truck, this dog transport van, and on this front passenger seat, there's a Rubbermaid tub with this Savannah monitor in it.
Yeah.
So we were able to cooperate even with dog rescue folks to get that animal to us.
Yeah.
So that kind of outreach and being able to cover that bigger area, because there is a need. We've lost several really good rescues over the last several years. Anyhow, they did a great job. Fabulous job that they did, but we lost them. Yeah. Now Badgerland has opened up, and they're picking up some of that slack. Yeah. In this Wisconsin-Illinois border area. But you go through Indiana, and there's a hole in Indiana. There's a hole in Michigan. The one guy who's doing a lot of rescue up there closed his rescue. I fear that the pressure is going to become more and more, which is why we've got to get this expansion done, because I think there's going to be more and more demands on our time.
For sure.
And on our resources.
Yeah. So I think that's absolutely crucial. Again, guys, all the links for them will be down in the description below, so definitely please check them out. herpslive.org is definitely going to be the resource for you guys, along with their Facebook page, 2 vital resources for sure. And they'll reach out to you if they need to and stuff like that as well.
Great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
So thank you so much again, Keith.
No
and
problem.
I know you guys probably have also seen too, like there's also been volunteers that have been passing through. They've been working their tails off. It's been awesome. So thank you to you guys as well too. That's been awesome. If you guys could do me a few favors, like I said, please check them out down at herpsalive.org and Facebook as well too. Go check the links down below. I will leave all of them down there, as well as if you guys could also do me a few favors. If you could like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video around to other people as well too. This is a valuable resource, and we want to get all of this news spread for Keith and Herps Alive so they can work on their expansion and grow for upscale too, and really get things coming to fruition for them so they can make sure that the demand is met for these animals. We all want to do better for these guys right here. So that's the goal right here. But also, guys, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it, as well as hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. And also too, definitely check us out on social media. I would greatly appreciate it. But until next time, guys, Keith, as always, this
Nick,
has been
thanks,
great.
great seeing you.
Thank you so much. But thank you guys for watching, and until next time, we will see you guys soon. Take care.